So I've had the Mars Pro 2 for a bit, and it's now time to change the basing plastic part. This one is something. This thing is something that you have to do quite often. It gets scratched, cloudy, has issues. If you don't know how to use it properly, you might constantly do it. So learning how to do this early and knowing how to do it properly will avoid nightmares for you, like breaking it and having to buy another one and constantly having to replace it, or even breaking some of the whole fielding inside. Basically, if you screw it too much, it's gonna break them, and then the screws do not hold, and this needs to be airtight. So what you do, you remove the film from here, no scratches, make sure that you touch as little as possible so that it doesn't leave marks, and put it on top like that. Put the other plate on top there too, and then you start putting all the screws one by one. Do not make holes before you put the screws. The screws themselves will make holes if it's needed. Otherwise you might start something that opens up the entire sheet of plastic, and then you need to put another sheet of plastic. So slowly start screwing them one by one. Start with the corners, well, one of the corners at least. Do not screw them completely, because you need to make sure that everything is set properly and it's not pulling on one side or the other. I normally start like this. I do two of the corners, so two extremities. It kind of tightens up the entire structure first. Or if there's a bit of resistance, if you're doing it right, it will eventually just naturally sit in. And there you go. Right, that's in. And then you start going slowly on the sides, one by one. Do not force them. There's no need to force these things. They will actually go in place by themselves, and they will not need as much tampering as you think. So slowly just follow all the holes. And don't push too much on the Allen key, because if you do, it might slide and end up in the middle of the plastic, breaking it and making the sheet completely useless. So basically, the center of this has to be the thing you look after the most. Whatever happens to the sides is not a problem, but the center has to stay clear, smooth, and stretched without any possible holes. Also, as you might have noticed, I put a piece of paper, or you can put a piece of cloth under, so it doesn't slide and accidentally starts scratching the surface. Surface is where the light shines through the LED panel, which is also broken, and I'm getting a replacement piece tomorrow, and I'll show you how to put that too. So it has to be as clear as possible, so that there is no disturbance for the LED light passing through, and whatever shines through creates a shape that then becomes your print. So make sure there is nothing, including light and fingerprints, obstructing the way of the light. Otherwise you're gonna have a lot of failed prints. And you know, if you're doing 3D printing, how fun failed prints are. You basically waste an entire day sometimes of printing just because a little hair or something went on the sheet and disrupted something that could have worked very well. So keep going with all the screws. This is a very long process, but I'm telling you, there's no way around it. you cannot put less screws in. It has to be airtight, so one screw missing, and I'm seriously saying do not even miss one, and the resin will come out, or the plate will push the plastic a bit further, and some things may happen. One of them could be that the resin ends up on the LCD screen very wet while it's working, get through the insulating plastic that is around it, and burn it, which I think is what happened first time I used the resin printer, and that is why I'm getting a replacement LCD screen. The other thing that could happen is that without tension, the plastic sheet will go under and nothing will stick on your plate, and you'll just get failed prints at the bottom that eventually, if you don't fix, will end up messing up the plastic sheet that you have to buy again. And these are not just like paper or simple plastic bags. They tend to be expensive if bought in bulk. And I bought 2 of them. They were around £20. There is a possibility of getting them cheaper, but I wouldn't try too much on that, because this is the main reason why your print works. Your print doesn't fail. So I would try to at least use the finances for these clean sheets. They have to be good. So I'm getting through some of the last little screws. The little screws go under, big screws go up, and the big screws then will go in the bigger basin that you add once you turn around the entire structure. What I'm also suggesting is that this is to be almost like medical level thing. Any resin remnant will have some negative effect on whatever you're printing or your printer itself, and just out of laziness you can create a lot of damage. I mean, I wasn't as precise, clean, or dedicated to these things. This is almost mental level of perfection. But unfortunately, I learned the hard way that if you don't do this properly, you end up having to redo it several times, spending extra money you don't want to spend, wasting days that you could have been printing and producing something, just fixing the printer piece by piece. By the way, if you open it, and I'll show you in another video when I change the LCD panel, the printer is not that complicated. Alright, so this is the finished slab. Now I'm gonna get the bigger part, which I left down here for safety reasons. I don't want to break it, and put it upside down. So this part up, and these little screws need to go inside this way, so that the big screws can go at the back. Now the big screws will offer some resistance, but will eventually the plastic will go in, and this creates a suction that makes them completely waterproof. Yeah, you see, the plastic broke basically under, but it didn't break in a way that it's never gonna that is gonna start cracking and going towards the center. The big screws need a larger Allen key that comes with a kit normally, so I changed from a small one to the larger one. Push it in, and the tenser the sheet is, the better it is. So push in without ripping it. I mean, it's very strong. It's not gonna rip, but make sure that you are not using an absurd level of strength for this. Right? Oh. And make sure it's in, because it feels like it's inside and it caught, but it didn't. Maybe the other one first. Alright. So, yeah, probably just follow one by one until you get enough pressure to get it to the bottom. See, even this one that thought was very tight is not tight as much. Try to use the corners like I'm doing here. Sometimes it goes up like that and then the resistance is too strong to put it back down. So if you tighten too much one of the sides, then the other one will come out, and then you have to use a huge amount of strength to hold it down when you're screwing it. And you see this one coming up for me. But now I have to use my full body weight. And it's still basically not enough. Alright, I'm going to start going towards the side one by one like this. I think that's the only way to fix this. And you see the resistance is so much it makes it flip. Alright, so that's in. Careful. Alright, this one caught, I think. If it gets too hard, use the shorter side of the Allen key that's made to increase the strength when you're pulling it down. Oop. And the other one goes in. And slowly tensing up. Don't overdo it. I mean, if you use a ridiculous amount of strength, you will break the screws. So just make sure that it's straight but not strained too ridiculous. This one's getting hard already. And make sure that whatever you do, you don't drop the Allen key in the middle and break something. You don't want to redo this. This is a really annoying long process. Push it down. Make sure to follow the video completely because I'm giving a huge amount of tips out of experience. It looks really simple, it looks like you can do it, anyone can do it, but there are little tiny things that I'm telling you that make a huge difference, and I wish I had this details before I did the first one I did. I utterly destroyed it, I think, and it was my fault because I didn't know about these things and I didn't do enough research before. But yeah, well, I learned out of my mistakes. Hopefully you will learn out of my mistakes too and not have to redo them, because there's no point in constantly redoing the same mistakes. That's not the point of learning. But the learning is making it better every time. So if I do it well this time, then you're going to do it even better next time, and then that starts a chain reaction where everyone does it properly. That's wishful thinking for me. Yeah. One more. We're almost done. As you can see, also the plastic sheet around is pulling upwards now. It's very, very tense. If you look at the panel inside, it's so tight it looks like a window. And there is not going to be any liquid passing through this time. literally impossible. Careful with this. I mean, if it flicks out like it just did to me and goes towards the plastic sheet, there's a high risk it will wreck it. Alright. Tensing them, but when I feel the strong resistance, I stop. I don't want it to end up badly. This one was a bit loose. This one's fine. This one's probably a bit loose too. Slightly. It's loose. They don't look loose, but when you start tightening all of them up, some of them come a lot more loose. Make sure it stays on the piece of paper, you never know. And that's it. Alright, so as you can see, the film here is on the sides. So most people will go, oh my god, I cannot cut this. I'm going to be scared that it's going to rip through everything else. Well, it's not, because it's airtight. So what you do, you get a very, very sharp knife. Don't get a blunt one, sharp one. And you don't go this way, this is risky. You go that way and you cut all the perimeter. So like that. Push it so you don't have to do it twice. The least you stay on this, the better. And just go like that and cut it off. Alright, look at this. Don't pull it, because if you pull it, it might pull the inside of it. So if there's a bit of resistance, just pass over it with a knife again, it will come off. Bit of resistance here. See, it comes off really easily. And last here. There you go. Alright, and that is how you change the sheet. Look, it's perfectly tight, watertight. Nothing's gonna pass through this. All we need to do now is put it inside the printer and fill it up. And that's it. Done. Alright, so next time I'm going to show you how to change the LCD screen, because mine is broken, and you might as well show everyone else how to change it. And we'll see how it prints. See you later.